Hey everyone, I'm your astrologer Brittany of Ethereal Astrology, taking you to new heights with inspired perspectives that transcend the details. Today, you're watching your astrology horoscope for the full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus, which occurs on Saturday, October 28th, 2023 at 4:24 p.m. Eastern Time or 1:24 p.m. Pacific Time. Now, what I think is going on here at this full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus is that we're finally starting to feel like we're living a more stable and secure lifestyle that we can be more confident in, that's more aligned with who we are and our needs and values, especially as a result of some things that we've done over the course of the past 2 weeks prior to this. However, still having some more details that we really need to take care of in this new lifestyle to ensure it and to move it forward. And us, I think, being too excited or disoriented by this new experience that we may be missing details or miscommunicating things here and confusing ourselves and feeling a little sad about that we may need to work through in order for us to move forward. So that's what we're going to talk about in this video. If you want to hear more about that, please do stay tuned because we're going to hop into it right now here. In order to get started, what I like to do first is, of course, place on the chart what it is that we're referring to here so that you can see it and follow along with me. So let me do that now. This video is for the full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus, and I've adjusted the chart accordingly. I know that because I've got the moon here, 5 degrees Taurus, making an exact opposition over here to the sun at 5 degrees Scorpio, okay? And when the moon opposes the sun at the exact degree, just like this, that is considered a full moon. Okay, I also know that it is a lunar eclipse here because it is in fairly close proximity to the nodal axis here, with the moon near the north node, of course, and the sun near the south node. Okay, so this is the full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus. What now is this all about? Well, full moons are all about stepping into things that we've been working towards for quite some time and bringing them to completion here. And a lunar eclipse superpowers that. So makes that something very significant that we've been working towards for a while, and something very big that it is that we are stepping into here. I also want to note as well that this is the last eclipse in Taurus for a while that we're having since the North Node has been there, I want to say early 2022. So a lot of what we are stepping into and completing that's a very big and very significant, I think, is related to our journey over the course of the past year and a half since the beginning of 2022 to now, okay, which is all connected in some kind of way that is coming to a culmination of some sort. Here in a completion of that lesson so that we can move forward. What is it that we're more fully stepping into or completing in a very significant way that we've been working towards since 2022, the past year and a half Taurus, okay, because that's where the North Node was and this lunar eclipse is. What is Taurus about? Well, words you've heard me use a lot over the course of the past few years is stability and security. Here, it's also about confidence, especially in ourselves and our abilities. Not only that, but Taurus too is also about feeling more in alignment with our needs and our values, not other people's needs and values, ours as an individual here. So a few of the things that we're stepping into big time at this lunar eclipse that we've been working towards for a year and a half is more stability in life, more security in life and ourselves and in who we are, more confidence here, and more alignment with who we truly are and with our own needs and values. Okay, not only that, but a few other things that I want to say here as well about Taurus is that Taurus is also about money. It's a money sign, and I think about saving money and starting to have more of it, or just be better prepared to make money here later on. So that's another huge theme here at this lunar eclipse in Taurus: more stable, more secure, more confident, more aligned with our needs and values, which we've been working towards for a while, which is happening in a very significant way, and also getting our money in order, I think, in a very significant way here to make it more and to feel more stable and secure after this point. Not only that, but I also want to note too, I don't consider Taurus a relationship sign. Taurus is more so about ourselves, our needs, our values here in a lot of ways. But I want to put it in the context of relationships for a minute, especially with the sun in Scorpio, which is a relationship sign here. And Taurus can also be about us doing relationships in a different way, where our needs and our values are prioritized, where we're not messing around with relationships who don't get us, who are bringing us down, but where we're creating relationships, if we're in relationships at all, that are more aligned with what is in our best interest here as individuals here, in order to move us forward and more supportive of our stability and security here at this time. Okay, so another huge theme here. Not only at this full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus, right, to continue bringing it together, are we stepping into more stability, more security, more confidence in ourselves, and more alignment with our needs and values, but we're also stepping very significantly into different and better money situations here, or preparing to do that in different types of relationships as well, that are better and more in alignment with our needs and value as well, and more stable and secure, and not these relationships where we're sacrificing so much for other people that aren't working for us. Okay, not only that, but another thought here I want to offer you as well is that the moon likes to be in the sign of Taurus here. That is the sign that it's exalted in. And one of the reasons why I think personally the moon likes Taurus is because it can create calmer emotions, right? The moon is about emotions. Taurus is calmer emotions. And not only that, but Taurus to me can also be about life, fertility, healing. Maybe I'll say that in a lot of ways too. So this is also us, I think, in a very significant way at this lunar eclipse here in Taurus, stepping into calmer emotions, more healed emotions as well, where we're starting to feel more fertile, more abundant here, more life-giving, or able to pursue activities that might be more life-giving for us here in the future as we move forward. Okay, another thought that I want to add here about the sign of Taurus. Now, Taurus is not a fast sign, okay? Aries is more the fast sign. Taurus is a bit slower here because it's a fixed earth sign here. So this isn't a fast placement, but this is getting us on the track to fast movement, right? Once you're more in alignment with your needs and values, and you don't have money problems and dead weight of relationships bringing you down, it gets easier to do things. It gets faster to do things. So even though this is not indicating huge, fast movement after this point, it's indicate us getting in the right place finally in our lives and doing the right things and being in the right situations here that is eventually going to be conducive to that, especially 6 months from now at the next eclipse season. Here we'll have a solar eclipse in Aries. Okay, so please do keep that in mind here. Not only that, but maybe I'll offer you one last thought as well. Taurus is also about our gifts, skills, and talents, and us cultivating more of those things that we have. Again, just ourselves as individuals. So for some of you, this could also be you starting to cultivate more of your own gifts, skills, and talents by using those more, work or otherwise here, or learning a new skill here in some sort of way too. And skill to me is more practical, not like years in school to do it, but some of you may be learning a more practical skill or using more of your skills here on the day-to-day and starting to value more of those too, which can be very fruitful for you later on as well. Okay. So that's, I think, what I want to say for now. Let me just repeat that. That was a lot. The main thing, that big picture that's going on here at this full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus, is that we are stepping into big time a more stable and secure lifestyle that we feel is more in alignment in our needs and values, and that we feel more confident in here, where we have more healed emotions and feel better and more calm emotionally. That includes us starting to get our finances in a much better order here to make money now or later on, in our relationships in a much better order, where we're doing relationships differently here and in a way that supports our needs and values instead of undercuts them here, and where we're using more of our own gifts, skills, and talents here in order to move forward. Okay, which is something, again, we've been working towards, I think, since at least the beginning of 2022. That's now finally coming together as a culmination of all of that. Okay, so that's the big picture there. Now, what I like to do next is, before I move forward, what I like to do next is actually go back in time before catching us up to now. The reason why I like to move backwards in time now is to give you more of the context of how we got here to this full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus. And I like to give you the context because I think the context can change a lot of the interpretation of what it means, of where we're going. So that's why I want to go back to that. Now, this section is getting pretty long. I am eventually going to have to figure out what to do with it here. So if you don't want to hear this section, you've already heard it, whatever, you don't have time, that's fine. You can skip by it. I'll put a link down below in the description box here for you to navigate past it. But I'm going to go ahead now and hop into the context of this time period. And of course, I like to start back in April of 2020 when we had a very significant alignment going on, which was when Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter all came conjunct here around the middle degrees of Capricorn around that time. Okay, that is a very rare alignment because Saturn and Pluto are slower moving. They only come conjunct about every 35 years here, and Jupiter isn't always there either, which makes it more rare here as well. Not only was this a very rare alignment, but I need to note it's a very difficult one as well, because Saturn and Pluto are not the friendliest or planets or the easiest ones to work with, especially being a little further out here in space from where we live. And also too, because Jupiter, which usually brings good luck, it was in Capricorn at the time, which is a sign it doesn't like to be in, really making it hard to bring the goods that it would normally bring there in that way. Okay, so this was a bit of a challenge. What was the difficulty here? Well, I think this was us realizing around January to April. I think it was like the beginning of 2020. It was us realizing around that time that there was something in our lives here that had been a part of our lives for a long time, maybe even 35 years prior to that, that we did not like. With this being a hard alignment, was no longer working for us, and that we needed to make big Jupiter change, Pluto, and the structure of our lives, Saturn and Capricorn, in order to end and get rid of and overcome so that we could move forward eventually feeling much better. And it was us in between January to April of 2020 starting to make those big endings of things we didn't like in order to move forward. That then leads me now to the next alignment I want to mention happening 2 years after that. It was a new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Taurus, which began the whole journey that this lunar eclipse is connected to here around April of 2022. Okay, what was that about? Well, new moons are all about new beginnings and fresh starts. Solar eclipses superpower that very big. It was in Taurus, a sign of fertility, a sign of abundance here, and I think a better life experience. So in April of 2022, I think we started to feel like we had changed and ended enough things in our life that we didn't like to then put us in a much better place in life, to put us in a new beginning that we felt was more fertile, more abundant, or had the potential to grow and be more fertile and abundant after this, which I liked a lot. That then leads me to the next alignment that I want to mention that happened just 2 weeks after that, somewhere around that same month, April of 2022. Okay, at that time, we then had a full moon lunar eclipse in the opposite sign here on the south node in the sign of Scorpio. Okay, now that was a little bit more of a difficult thing to occur. It was more difficult because sometimes full moons can be a little bit more challenging than new moons here, but especially because it was on the south node here. And the south node can be a bit challenging because it can bring feelings of being stuck here and of it can indicate things in our life that are not working for us, that are holding us back, that we need to let go of. So that was very difficult. What was the very difficult thing about it? Well, what was difficult is us feeling stuck. As I just said, 2 weeks later, we entered a new beginning of life, but unable to move forward. Not only was this 2 weeks after feeling stuck, but it was also us with Scorpio being very insightful, starting to realize why we were stuck and having problems moving forward into a new and better experience of life. I think the reason we started to realize at that time that we were stuck, unable to move forward, was because we had too many traits, Scorpio traits, that Scorpio is a fine sign, that were once useful, but that are no longer useful at this current time for our next experience of life, that were stopping us, that we needed to get rid of. And those Scorpio traits that are just not useful for us right now, that we needed to get rid of, were, say, making too many changes, a Scorpio thing, here indulging traumatic emotions from the past of what we had just been through. Here, it was also as well us being too intertwined with relationships, especially relationships that are not good for us. Here, spending too much money and giving too much of our power away for other people. We needed to let go, south node of that, and cultivate more north node in Taurus, which is stability, security, confidence here, saving money and believing more in ourselves and our needs and values and aligning with that. Okay. So that's what happened there then. New experience of life that I've been trying to get to. I'm here, but now I'm stuck. Hard for me to move forward because I've got some habits that aren't working for me I need to get rid of. overspending, relying too much on other people, giving my power away, too much change, negative emotions that I need to get rid of to be more stable, secure, self-reliant. All of that needs and values. Okay, I thought that was meant to be helpful to inform us of what the work that needs to be done to move forward. But even though that was helpful, if I can be honest, I think it took us almost all of last year to fully get that message and download it and understand what it means. It really wasn't until after Mars went retrograde in Gemini about our mindset, and Mercury, also about our mindset, went retrograde in Capricorn in the same spot that Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter made a conjunction in January of this year, now 2023. Okay. And what I think happened when Mercury went retrograde in Capricorn in January of 2023 is that we finally started to get it. We finally started to get a different mindset and a different perspective here that was more stable, more secure, more calm, favored our own needs and values, saving money, and not giving our power away to other people. Not only did we finally start to get that perspective in January of 2023, but I think we also started to make a few more tweaks in January of this year as well, here, not only within our own perspective, but also with relationships and money, to try to get a few more things in order towards saving and towards our own needs and interest here, which I think was very, very helpful. That then leads me now to the next alignments that I want to mention, which I believe happened maybe about 2 months after that, February to March of this year. And we'll just say March for now, March of 2023. At that time, we had two very significant alignments. Pluto left the sign of Capricorn and entered the sign of Aquarius here, where it hasn't been for any of us in our lifetimes. And then Saturn left the sign of Aquarius and entered the sign of Pisces. Okay, this is very significant because both of these planets are relatively slower moving. And when you get slower moving planets changing signs, it indicates major chapters turning in our life, totally different experiences manifesting here. And with Saturn in Pisces, the last sign of the zodiac, about endings, to leave the past behind. And with Pluto in Aquarius, to welcome the future. So in March of 2023, we started to feel like now that we've got a better perspective on life, slow, stable, secure, self-reliant, and have tweaked our relationships and money to match that we can start again on this new experience of life that came in April of 2022 to move our lives forward, fertile, abundant beginning here that was going on, which I think we then tried to do more of in April of 2023 of this year at a new moon solar eclipse here that we had in Aries, the very last degree, to move our lives forward more into a new, better experience, especially with Aries being the first sign of the zodiac and the sign of new beginnings. Okay, that then leads me now to the next alignment that I want to mention, which happened about a month later, May of 2023, somewhere around Taurus season. Okay, in May of 2023, we then, which was just a few months ago, we then were trying to sustain this new beginning now that we were able to revisit and to move forward in it. But I think we ran into another problem. And I think we ran into another problem because around May of 2023, Venus started to enter pre-retrograde shadow in Leo. And I think we started to have difficulty moving forward yet again into this new beginning we've been working towards for years here because Leo. We weren't allowing ourselves to be happy. We weren't allowing ourselves to honor more of a fun, playful, emotional side of life because we'd been so stuck the past few years in a life we hate and in fixing the life we hate, keeping us in emergency mode here and ignoring our feelings. So we realized in May of 2023, I want to move forward in a new experience again, but I can't because of another problem here now because I'm afraid to be happy and to honor my emotions because my experience has been the opposite of that here and to let my guard down we then had to figure out, especially I think the next alignment I want to mention in July, around July of this year, July of 2023 into August. And in July of 2023 of this year into August, Pluto moved back into, of course, Capricorn, the last degrees, and made a square to the nodal axis, including the South Node in Libra and the North Node in Aries at that time. And Pluto's about big permanent change. When you get a square to the nodal axis, decisions that need to be made. So what I think happened in July 2023, after the May, is that we realized we're not honoring our emotions. We're not letting ourselves be happy. We have to make big permanent changes and decisions in our life to let our emotions out, to honor more of our emotions, to bring more of that fun, lighthearted, playful, sensitive side back to life after hiding our emotions for so long. It was scary. It was uncomfortable. A square to Pluto is not a great alignment here to do, but I think that it is that we did it and started to feel good again in life, okay, and honor more of our emotions. Well, I don't know if feel good's the word. We started to just honor more of our emotions here. Hey, but even though we started to honor more of our emotions around July of 2023 and make more of the big decisions here in order to do so, I think things were still not right here when it came to life, and we still felt unable to move forward. I think part of the reason why we felt unable to move forward was with Mercury around August, September of 2023 going retrograde in the sign of Virgo, which is a lot about overwork, over stress, here overthinking things that was going on, and especially with the South Node in Libra, hesitating, holding back. Because a lot of times when we're overworking and overthinking, we hesitate, we hold back, waiting too much on other people. I think we then realized we had another problem. We are honoring our emotions, but still can't move forward, overworking, overthinking, hesitating, all of that. That was very hard. And because that was going on just 2 weeks ago at that last eclipse, the new moon solar eclipse in Libra, we finally here stopped hesitating, I think, and stopped holding back on what we really needed to do now in order to move our lives forward. And I think what we realized when we stopped hesitating is that we needed to make a lot of changes here in our life to end yet more things that aren't working for us. And because 2 weeks ago, okay, we ended, I think, we started to do more stuff to end things that weren't working for us. Now, this full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus, of which this video is for, we're feeling more in alignment. We're feeling like we now are living more in alignment with ourselves and who we truly are. Now that we don't have this baggage with relationships and money bringing us down, right? And now that we're getting our relationships and money in a better order, and now that we're being more confident in ourselves and have more healed emotions, right? We're starting to feel as though we now are in a more aligned space in our life with a more clear pathway to eventually move forward faster in the future. We're feeling more stable and more secure, and like our finances and relationships are starting to get in a much more supportive order of our own needs and values here. That's going on in a very significant way that I think is meant to be very nice. Okay, and that's it. Because that's all I'm going to say there, maybe I'll just repeat this portion one more time here before I move on. So let me do that. What I think is the very long-term context of this full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus here is that we've been trying to get on some new and better chapter in life for a while, but we have been stuck one roadblock after the other. Here, first it was we needed to end some things, and it was our mindset. And this full moon lunar eclipse, of which this video is for, we're finally fixing that. We're finally fixing a lot of stuff that's been keeping us stuck here, unable to move forward, and getting a better runway or a better path now to move forward in a new experience of life that's more stable, more secure, more reliable, more clear, more alignment without a lot of this other baggage bringing us down. Okay, and that's it. Because that's all I'm going to say there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go more into the specifics of this full moon eclipse itself here and what the aspects and alignments are that it's making to give you a little more detail. So let's do that. In order to do that, I'm just going to place it on the chart again really quickly so you can see it. Here's the moon in Taurus opposite the sun here in Scorpio. What do I want to look at first? First, what I'm going to look at here is going to be the moon conjunct Jupiter. Okay, the full moon conjunct Jupiter in the sign of Taurus here, I think being one of the most significant aspects that it's making. Now, this I love. I will say I love this alignment a lot. A matter of fact, I might even go so far as to say that this is one of my favorite full moons of the year, and it's a lunar eclipse here because it's conjunct Jupiter. So this to me is very positive. Jupiter to me is the planet of gifts, good luck, wisdom, understanding, optimism, new possibilities and potentials here that's going on. And it's in Taurus where the eclipse is. So what this means to me is that not only at this full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus, here are we stepping into a life that's more aligned, which will eventually make it easier for us to act, and that feels more stable and secure with ourselves, relationships, and money, but that we're feeling very excited about the whole thing, very optimistic about the whole thing. Here is that we're getting a lot of wisdom to an insight about the whole thing, where we've been, where we're going next, how to do it. Here, and that we're feeling more optimistic and hopeful, and we're starting to see new possibilities arrive in our lives that are going to be better for us after this point here that is going on that I like a lot here at this time. So this to me is a very good thing here happening, bringing a lot of big, good feelings and things starting to manifest here. Especially, I need to note if you've been making the changes and the moves that you've been needing to make the past 2 weeks before this. Okay. Not only that, but there's another good alignment too that I really like about this full moon eclipse that I also want to talk about. Not only is it making a conjunction to Jupiter here, but the full moon is also making a sextile over to Saturn in Pisces. Okay, I also like this because to me, sextiles are positive. I always interpret a sextile in a positive way here because it is an aspect between two planets and two signs that have complementary elements, in this case, water and earth. And so this is also something that I like. What do I like about it? Well, Saturn is in Pisces. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. It's about letting things go, making our peace with the past. Okay, moving on in a lot of ways. And Saturn, when by positive aspect, can lend an air of security. To me, Saturn is like the glue that brings things together. When by positive aspect, it can make us feel like there's more certainty, more focus, more direction here when it comes to things, or more structure in order to accomplish the things that it is that we want to accomplish. Okay, so not only at this full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus, to continue bringing it together, are we feeling like we're stepping into a life finally that's more in alignment with our needs and values, more stable and secure, with better relationships and money, that's going to provide a better runway for us to move forward faster later on in the future here. But we're also feeling very happy, hopeful, optimistic about the whole thing, more insights about where we are, what to do next. That's going on with new opportunities unfolding, and we're feeling more clear, more focused here, with a more clear direction and structure about what we want to achieve and how we want to achieve it, so that we don't get stuck in the past, or so that the past doesn't repeat here as we move forward, which I like a lot. Okay, that then leads me now to the next alignment that I want to mention here, happening at this lunar eclipse in Taurus, and that's that the moon here is opposite Mars and Mercury, which are conjunct each other here, or the sun is conjunct Mars and Mercury, however way you want to look at it. Okay, what is this about now? I'll just call it the moon opposite Mars and Mercury. I want to interpret this neutrally here for a minute first, and then maybe I'll give you some other interpretations. What is this about? Mercury is a planet of communication, right? Since it naturally correlates to Gemini. It's also a planet too of adjusting things and attending to the details, since it also correlates to Virgo, Earth, an Earth sign here as well. That needs to happen. And it's making a conjunction with Mars, which is a lot about action, doing things. So doing a lot of communicating, doing a lot of working out the details, doing a lot of adjusting. Here in Scorpio, about changes, transformations, especially with relationships and money here, that might still need to be done or still need to be taken care of here. So to say this in a neutral way first, what is going on here is that we're finally now feeling like we're in a more aligned experience, stable, secure, confident, relationships and money to get us on a better track to success here in the future, with more optimism, understanding, insight, clarity about what to do next here for these new opportunities, with more structure and certainty and all of that that's going on. But even though that's the case, new and better experiences are here, there are still some details that we need to work out. There are still some details we need to work out, still some conversations that need to be had, and still some things in our physical environment that we need to do or adjust or change with relationships and money here in order to set all this stuff up, in order to set all this stuff up, maybe in order to fully release old things that we don't want, and in order to fully get on the right path. There's still more to do and adjust, right? To get on this more stable, secure path that now is arriving, that now we're getting more clear about and feeling better here in some kind of way, relationships and money, in order to move forward. Okay. So I think that's what that is bringing. What else do I want to say about this alignment? Okay, I think this is a good problem to have. Okay, it's a good problem to have. You're in a new experience. You got a lot of things to work out. I think this is a good problem to have. Okay, but even though this is a good problem to have, I do want to note there is something a little challenging here that can occur because of this alignment. What is the challenge that can occur? Well, a few challenges here. It is an opposition to the moon, and oppositions are typically considered a hard aspect. Not only that, but Mars is involved, and Mars, especially by a hard aspect, can be a little bit aggressive or a little bit hard to handle. Here, not only that, but both Mars and Mercury are not only aspecting the moon by opposition, a hard aspect, but they're aspecting Jupiter too, which is a whole other thing to throw in here as well. And what this can create, especially with the Mars, maybe I'll start now with the Mars here, is Mars can push things a little too much, a little too much, a little too hard, or like to move a little too fast, right? To speed along, because we already talked about Taurus being somewhat of a slower influence where the lunar eclipse is. So not only can this Mars Mercury here create new experience, better experience of life, more aligned, more stable, more secure, more clarity, more optimism, more excitement about it all, but still a few things to adjust, details, conversations in order to get it together. It can make us rush through these conversations, push them. I want to get to the end. I'm so happy I'm getting in a better experience of life. I want to rush these changes, these projects, these details, these conversations here that are working through. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I want to get to the end. I want these to be done. It can create rushing. Not only can it create rushing, but it can also create frustration with the Mars when we're not rushing and when we're not fully there in the way we want to be, especially because we're feeling like a more aligned experience is so close. It can create frustration if we're not going fast enough in the way we think. It can also create as well anger at ourselves because we're so close to being good and there's all these details we have to work out and there's people we got to talk to that are in the way. It can create some anger here because of that as well that's going on. And not only that, but Mars can create burnout, right? If you're rushing to take care of all these details that you got going, and there's a lot of them you got to take care of and you don't want to take care of them, and you're mad and all this other stuff, it can also create burnout, make you something very good that's happening, but you can be very frustrated and burn out, okay, and rush it. You can rate that. Now, is that happening for a bad reason? I don't think this is happening for a bad reason. Remember, I want to say this is not because we have bad intentions. This is because we have good intentions, right? This is we're happy. Finally, new experience of life, more aligned, in a better place. So the reason why we're frustrated and rushing and maybe angry isn't because we're upset. I think it's because we genuinely are happy. We're in a better place with the opposition to Jupiter and excited, and we just want to move forward and not have all these other little things to talk about. Okay? But even though it's happening really for a good reason, I think there's still some frustrations around here because of that. Okay? So you see, for me to bring it together, and then I think I've got one more aspect to mention here. This full moon and lunar eclipse in Taurus, we're finally in a more aligned experience of life that's more stable, more secure, more confident, more in touch with our needs and values, with finally better relationships and money. That's putting us on the right track to set us up for success in the future. And we're getting a lot of clarity and insights about that, with more structure about how to obtain that here, with a lot of things coming together and more optimism. But even though that's the case, we still have some details and some conversations and some little things that we need to take care of to get us better on this path and ensure that we're on the right path in the right direction and to bring it all together. And that's a fine thing. It's normal to have details and stuff to take care of here. But even though that's a fine thing, we are so excited about this new experience. We just want it to be here so badly that we may be rushing these last few details and these last few conversations that we had, or feeling frustrated about them and think that they're going too slow or keeping us stuck or pushing too hard and burning ourselves out. That can be very hard. Okay? And make something good going on difficult. Not only that, but the next and the last alignment I believe I'm going to mention here is Mercury. I spent a lot of time just now talking about Mars being hard in this placement with Mercury and in opposition to Jupiter, but Mercury is also in a difficult spot here as well. And Mercury is in a difficult spot, sure, because it's conjunct Mars, but also because of the opposition to Jupiter. Okay, now Jupiter, I personally tend to like most of the time here, but if there's a pair between two planets that don't get along, to me, Mercury gets along with Jupiter the least, right? Jupiter's a good planet, gets along with most of them, but to me, Mercury is the one that has the hardest time with Jupiter as a pair here that's going on. Why? And it is by hard aspect and opposition. Why is this? Mercury, remember, details, right? That's what we've been talking about. Mercury is about the details. It's about conversations. It's about taking care of some adjustments that need to be made. Well, Jupiter is about the bigger picture. Not only that, but Mercury is about more practical matters, so to speak, being correlated to Virgo naturally. Well, Jupiter is about passion, about excitement, passionate excitement. So what can happen when you get Mercury opposite Jupiter, especially with Mars there, is that you're going too fast. You're missing details. You don't want to pay attention to the details. You're missing details. You're missing important information here that you need to be looking at. Okay, that you need to be looking at, that you need to be seeing to make sure you're on the right path. Here that's going on, or you're skipping steps. I don't want to make this adjustment. I want to move past it. I just want to be at the end. Or you're creating confusing conversations, miscommunications here. You're trying to say something, someone else isn't understanding it, that's going on. That can just be a bit difficult here at this time and make something very good a bit messy, okay? A bit messy here that is happening, okay? That can, again, be difficult, lead to frustration, okay? Arguments here, burnout, just a lot of negative stuff here. Not only that, but maybe another thought I should note too, these planets are in Scorpio, the Mars, the Mercury, the Sun in Scorpio. It can also create some some frustrating emotions here that is going on. And another thought that I want to share just came to me, it relates, but I'm not sure what alignment is giving this. Not only can the rushing, not only can the rushing to get things done cause us, and the excitement to get things done cause us to overlook the last few details and adjustments that need to be made and create miscommunications, but it can also cause us to overlook the emotional transformation processing. Scorpio, it can also cause us to overlook or to rush the emotional transformation and processing that really needs to happen within our soul in order to get on board with this different experience. Because sometimes when we're too excited, I just want to get to the end, we don't realize that something big is happening in our lives and that we need time emotionally to also make sense of it too, and to catch up emotionally in order to bring things together, which can also create weird things. Because when you don't let your emotions catch up and you're going too far ahead here, then you can your emotions can break down, right? And also create weird emotional issues as well that we might also not be paying attention to here too, that we're going to need to, okay? So that is what I want to say. I'm gonna bring that together, and then I'll give you the advice here. That at this full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus, finally feeling like we're in a more stable, secure existence in life, more aligned with our needs and values here, with relationships and money starting to get themselves together in a much better way to set us up for success in the future and put us on the runway for that, with more clarity and insight and more structure about how to do that, and more excitement and optimism about what is to come, which is wonderful. Okay, but even though things are starting to align now to put us on a much better track, there are still some conversations, some details, and some adjustments that need to be made in our lives with relationships and money in order to secure that and finish that and get us to where we need to go. And that's a fine and normal thing to have other stuff to take care of. But even though that's a fine and normal thing, we are so excited about a life being in alignment, especially after trying to get here for so long, that we may be rushing and forcing these adjustments and these details to happen faster than they're really ready here, that is going on, and pushing them too hard, or being frustrated or being upset when they're not going fast enough here, that can make us burn out, feel frustrated and angry at ourselves and other people, overlook the emotions here that need adjusting in order to move forward, and create confusion where we're missing details, skipping steps, and miscommunicating here with other people that can make us very upset and overwhelmed and messy, and just make this very messy when really it doesn't need to be, and something good is going on here. Okay, and because that's what's happening, I'm now going to give you some advice. What is the advice that I want to give you here? Well, right, what was the problem? The advice has to fit the problem. The problem here for this full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus is that we're pushing too much, too fast. I want to finish this stuff. Okay, I'm so excited. So if that's the problem, then the solution is you got to slow down here. Okay, you got to slow down here. And be patient, and to not let the impatience get the best of you that's going on, okay? That's the first piece of advice. We are going to speed up, okay? Another thought while I'm on this slowness, we are going to speed up. If you've heard me start to say in the past few videos here on YouTube, we want to go fast, we're trying to move faster. We are going to speed up. New moon, solar eclipse, and Aries 6 months from now, we're going to speed up. This is going to get us there. This right now is getting us to fast movement, but we have to do this first. So slow down, okay, before going fast, because you slowing down now just a little bit to take care of it is going to help you go faster, better 6 months from now. Okay? Not only is the advice to slow down, but the advice also for this lunar eclipse is to communicate very clearly, over communicate here to make sure everyone is on the same page, and double check your details, double check your information to make sure you've got all the facts and you've got it straight here, and that you're doing all the steps that are needed and aren't skipping them, right? Because if you're not getting information correctly, you can miss it later on and it could come back to bite you. So not only is the advice here, slow down, okay? Because you're going to go fast soon and this is going to get you to fast, but while you're slowing down, slow down so you can check facts, check information, get all the details straight, have all the conversations that you need, make it very clear here what is going on here in this situation. Okay, now does that mean lose passion and excitement? No, stay happy, stay excited. If you're on a better path and a better trajectory, keep that, but just channel your passion and your excitement here into this other stuff. And maybe that's a third piece of advice here. Not only slow down, okay, stop rushing and make sure you've got all the facts, all the information, and all the details, but channel all this passion and excitement about this different and better lifestyle into the facts, into the communication here. And instead of it riding you and making you do crazy things, channel the passion into, all right, I'm getting into a better place. Now I'm going to be passionate about communicating and about doing all the little steps to get to where I need to go. Okay, not only that, but another piece of advice that I'll give you with Jupiter still factoring in here. Jupiter is a lot about faith. It's a lot about hope. It's a lot about optimism here as well. So I think another piece of advice here is to have faith that if you slow down, if you check all the details, make sure you're communicating, and if you're following all the steps here, you know, that if you're doing that, you're going to be just fine, and that no time is going to be lost. You know, no time is going to be lost by you slowing down. As a matter of fact, I think you're going to save time by slowing down. If you slow down now to take care of all the details, you're going to save time because you're not going to have to correct mistakes later on. Okay. So you need to trust and have faith that by slowing down and checking the facts here to the best of your abilities, to the best that you know how, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. We're not being perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you slow down and check the facts to the best of your ability here that you can, and have the conversations, that it's going to get you in a much better place not too long from now here. 6 months, North Node, Aries solar eclipse, because I think it is here. Okay. And I think that's it. I think that's all I'm going to say now in terms of the aspects. I'm just going to repeat that, and then I might have a thought or two after that. But let me repeat that now. This full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus, my final interpretation here. What's going on is that we're finally starting to feel in a very significant way like we're in a more stable and secure experience of life that's more in alignment with our needs and values that we've been trying to get to for quite some time here, with relationships and money starting to be much better now for ourselves and for our future and what we hope to create. Not only that, but we're also too feeling like we've got more clarity about our next steps, about who we are and how we want to move forward, and more of the structure in place in order to support that, with lots more excitement and optimism about this experience and about what is yet to come. Okay, but even though that's the case, we're feeling more aligned, more stable, secure, better relationships and money, more clarity, structure, optimism about it. There are still a few more details, conversations, and things in our lives with relationships and money that need to be adjusted and taken care of in order to secure this more aligned path here and to get us on it. And that's a fine thing. It's normal to have details and things to take care of. But even though it's a fine thing, we are so excited about feeling more aligned, especially after trying to get here for quite some time, that some of us may try to push or rush these last few details and conversations and things that need to be adjusted here in some kind of way, which can cause us to burn out here, or get angry at other people and frustrated if we're going too slowly, or feel like we're going slowly here, and which can cause us to go too fast too soon and to overlook important facts and information, to skip important steps here, or to cause miscommunications and confusion that can make something very good actually feel very stressful and very messy here at this time. And because that may go on here at this eclipse, I now want to give you some advice, and the advice that I want to give you here is to intentionally slow yourself down. Stop trying to rush and move forward. Here, it's not going to help you get to where you want to go any faster. Okay, not only is the advice to slow down, but the advice also is while you're slowing down to make sure that you're going through the proper steps and not skipping any, and getting all the proper information here and getting that done clearly and having all the necessary conversations that it is that you need. Okay, not only is that part of the advice, but it's also to channel some of this excitement and passion that it is that you have about your life into the information, into the steps, into the process, into the details that need to be done, because I think that's going to help you navigate it a little bit better. And also the advice as well is to have hope and faith that by slowing down and paying attention to the details and channeling your passion, that it's going to get you to a much better place than you could have imagined, much easier, because you're not going to have to fix things later on, because it is. It is, especially 6 months from now at the next solar eclipse in Aries, which I think is going to give you more of the speed that it is that you're looking for. Okay, and that's it. Okay. Now I like to add a few other thoughts. Maybe a thought that I want to add you here first is about the speed, since I did just end on that point, and I want to be extra clear, and then I have a metaphor I want to give you. We are trying to move faster when it comes to life, and just feeling like life is easier here. That's going on. That is trying to happen right now, especially because I feel like the past few years and maybe decade of our life has been slow and grueling, but especially since 2020. So we are trying to move faster in our lives right now. That is trying to happen, okay? And to wear off the slowness of the past few years. But even though we're trying to move faster, really this speed will not occur until, again, 6 months from now, new moon solar eclipse in Aries, somewhere around April of next year, March, April. Hey, why is that? The lunar eclipse is now in Taurus, slower sign, fixed earth, slow. Hey, the next eclipse 6 months from now in Aries, cardinal fire, fast, Mars ruled. Okay, so keep that in mind. We're trying to go fast after being stuck for at least since 2020, okay? It wants to happen soon. It's going to happen soon, but not quite yet. Still need 6 months. Now we need to still keep a slower pace, okay? When it comes to that, here that's going on, okay? Why do we need a slower pace? We need a slower pace to make sure we've learned the lessons of the past few years while we've been trying to figure everything out, okay? To make sure we're setting up everything right. Okay, now I want to give you a metaphor when it comes to that. Sorry, my throat's starting to annoy me for a minute. Now I want to give you a metaphor that just came to me. I was thinking of an airport, and like a plane. When you're on a plane at the airport to go to a different location or something like that, the plane, everyone gets on the plane, and then the plane kind of has to like drive or maneuver to the runway, okay? And how when the plane is driving and maneuvering to the runway here to the big landing strip where it needs to take off, it's kind of slower. Like but you're excited. You realize, you're like, I'm excited. I feel it. Finally, the plane's about to move. It's about to take off. We're about to go somewhere cool. But we're trying to get to the landing strip, we're trying to move to that place, and that's where I feel we are, okay? That's what I think is happening right now, is that the plane is now leaving the place where everyone gets on the plane, and it's driving with everyone on it now. Like the doors are closing here are already closed to the landing strip. That's where we are. We're not actually going to take off, if you will, until 6 months from now, at that next solar eclipse, which will be in Aries. And that's when the plane is going to start to ramp up the speed on the landing strip. I don't know what you call it exactly, and then take off into the air. Okay. So that's the metaphor I want to leave you with. We're on a plane. The doors are closed, maneuvering to the landing strip to take off. Hasn't taken off yet. And there's a lot of excitement when you're about to take off, but it hasn't happened yet. Not only that, but maybe another thought about that metaphor to just tease it out a little bit more. Not only when we're on the land, preparing to get to the landing strip, and moving, is there a lot of excitement, but that's also too around the time when the flight attendants are like making sure everything's set, all right, suitcases are up here, everyone's in their seats, we've got the safety manuals playing, and so I also feel like it's that maneuvering to the take off, but hasn't taken off yet. There's a lot of excitement, but it's still kind of slow. And we got to make sure that your seatbelts are on, you know what to do in case there's an emergency, you know, or whatever. That's good, that everyone's buckled in, that you've got all the suitcases packed away, you know, a lot of things like that. Okay, so I hope that helps maybe put it into a little bit of perspective. Okay, another thought that I want to offer you with as well here before I look at your inside degrees and pull your card. You know, a lot of the interpretation that I've given here for this full moon lunar eclipse is that we're feeling more aligned, more in tune with our needs and values, right? Which includes relationships and money being much better. And there's a lot of excitement about that, even though there's some details you have to work out, which are frustrating, and some other stuff. Here, I want to say, if you're not one of those people, if you're watching this and you're like, well, I'm not feeling aligned at all, you know, I'm not feeling aligned at all, I'm not feeling like I'm about to be ready for takeoff 6 months from now or whatever, you know, if you're not feeling that, then that to me indicates that there's something from the past year and a half here that you haven't been seeing here or haven't been doing in the best way or in the way that's been needed for the situation. Okay, because this is a full moon. Let's talk about that. Full moons are a lot about culminations of things that we've been working towards for a while, and it's a lunar eclipse here. And a lunar eclipse is really about the nodal axis, and the nodal axis is now in Aries, but it was for the past year and a half in Taurus. Okay, and the North Node is about really learning those things for our destiny. So if you're watching this horoscope and you're like, I don't feel like I'm in a better, more excited place that's more aligned with me, then that means that there's maybe something from the past year and a half that you haven't been doing here that you might need to do in order to get on this better place. And that could be, and what that is, maybe I'll say, and what that is that maybe you haven't been doing from the past year and a half is ending relationships and things that aren't good for you, ending money situations that aren't working, and increasing more of your confidence and value in yourself and using more of your own gifts, skills, and talents instead of relying on other people. Okay. And not only does it tell me that, but if that's your case, if that's the case for you, then that's your advice. Your advice is, sure, maybe there's some details that need to be worked out or whatever, but the advice for you is to go back to the lesson that you haven't been doing for the past year and a half, which is to end relationships and to end money situations that aren't working for you and to increase your confidence so that you can welcome better ones in. Okay, because I'm getting a sense, especially after a last eclipse two weeks ago, that some of you may have had relationships end, or some of you may have had painful endings 2 weeks ago, right? As people started to do things here that maybe you didn't want, here that's going on. And if that's you, if you had a painful ending that came out of nowhere, that wasn't what you wanted, right? To me, that indicates something from the past 2 years, because if an ending happened two weeks ago, it shouldn't have been unexpected. It was a long time coming. It shouldn't have been unexpected. You should have had plenty of time to prepare for it. And if you had been doing the work from the past 2 years, which has been ending stuff and increasing your confidence, then even though it would be sad to see something go, there would be a relief of like, thank goodness that thing is gone from my life because I'm worthy of more and I deserve more. So keep that in mind here. I think there's a very good feeling that's supposed to happen here at this full moon eclipse and Taurus. New, better experiences, new event, more aligned. But if you're not feeling aligned, you need to go back to ending relationships and money and being confident in yourself and knowing that you're worthy, value, Taurus, value, worthy, you're worthy of better here in order to help you get the optimism and the good feelings that it is that you need. Okay. Another thought that I wanted to add here too, while I was going through that, now in a little bit of a different vein, I like to use this part of the video just to catch some things that I didn't say earlier that are just coming to me intuitively. There is something as well about this interpretation for this eclipse that I've said about the details. You know, you have to slow down, you have to take care of the details. And I was just thinking about that for a minute because and a few horoscopes a month or so ago around the Virgo new moon while Mercury was retrograde in Virgo, I mentioned something about like we're overthinking and too much in the details. And I want to note here that I'm not contradicting myself. I wasn't saying 2 months ago, you know, no details, and then now we have to go all in the details. I think there's a need to get the balance right. Maybe I need to say that. You know, so if some of you have this sticking point where you're like, oh, well, you said to me now, you know, overthinking not too much, and now we need to stop and think and all of this, like they're not mutually exclusive. What I'm saying now at this full moon isn't only do the details, it's you got to get the balance right and make sure that you're not overlooking them, okay? So keep that in mind, especially because the thing that's bringing the overlooking of the detail, sure, is the Mars Mercury, which can push too much, the opposite of balance, and it's an opposition, which can also be weird. So I'm not saying you need to go 100% all details, everything stickler. You just need to make sure that you're balancing some of your excitement with some of the details in a better way so that you're not overdoing either area, but you've got it in the right ways to help you move forward, okay? So that's what I want to say there. And maybe I also want to say that too, because I don't want to scare some of you, you know, like maybe there are some of you that are like, oh, great, what if I miss an important detail and it comes back to bite me later on? Okay, I don't want that to scare some of you and then for some of you to go back into over perfectionist mode here. When I say you need to make sure you don't forget the details, basically what I mean by that is just do your best, you know, do your best. I think that's all you can do. You know, you don't have to be perfect to make sure you see anything, but just do the best that it is that you can, okay? Because that's all that's needed. You know, you don't have to go through everything with a super fine tooth comb and obsess about it. When it looks through the details, all you have to do is balance the excitement with a little bit of detail and focus and just do the best that you can. And then leave it up to God. Leave it up to God, leave it up to divine, leave it up to faith. That was also the advice. You have to have faith. Okay, to leave it up to God, that if you're doing the best that you can, to try to bring it together, to try to make sure you're not skipping steps, that it will all work out here, because in the end, you know, we need a lot of divine help a lot of times in order for things to happen and to make sure that things are going to come together, okay? So keep that in mind here. Not trying to stress you out when it comes to the details, and I don't want to trigger you to go into over perfection mode, because that's not it. Balance passion with a little bit of detail to make sure you're not skipping steps here, and trust that if you have an intention and if your intentions are pure to not skip steps here, that the divine is going to be fine, you know, and going to help you through it in a better way, okay? Okay, so I think that's what I'm going to say there. Now I'm going to take a look at your inside degree. Here, the inside degrees were not written by me. They were written by someone else named Elias Lonsdale, who channeled meanings for each of the degrees from Spirit. But I like to look at these because I think that they're very interesting and relevant and help to just give a little bit of a different perspective. So I've got those up on the screen. Okay, the lunar eclipse here is at 5 degrees Taurus. However, I prefer 6 degrees the best. So that is the only one that I'm going to read here in this video. The other ones may still be relevant, 4 and 5. Here, it's just that I'm just going to only focus on 6 just for the time saving and the sake of this video. If you want to read 4 and 5, please feel free to do so. You can pause this video here and take a look at it. But I'm going to talk about 6 now. So let's do that. 6 degrees Taurus. It says, the heart feels everything. It burns with a fever. Inside the burning, something marvelous is forming. I like this. I like, you know, the first thing that stands out is the burning. The burning to me is interesting because the full moon lunar eclipse is conjunct Jupiter, and Jupiter is kind of fiery, being correlated to Sagittarius, a fire sign, passionate. I think there is something very fiery and passionate here that is happening at this full moon, definitely making us feel more awake, more alive. Here than maybe we have in a while here, or awakening some sort of desire here within us. Not only that, but I like that it says something marvelous is forming, which to me also kind of is a Jupiter thing, optimism and hope. So my first thoughts here, a lot of weird passion, feeling awake, alive, hopeful at this eclipse here, and the heart being touched in a positive way. Hey, let's read on. Grace permits the realization of the heart's desire. Okay. Let's stop there for a minute. Grace is a word that stood out to me. What did I just finished saying before the inside degrees? Do the best you can to not skip steps, to get all the information, you know, and to be diligent. And then it's up to God. It's up to the divine. You have to have faith, you know, and that's what to me, great grace, you know, up to that. here that's going on. So I think this is also a call of like, you have to have hope and faith here, that if you're doing your best, if you're doing your best and you want to do things right to the best, to the best of your abilities here, that it'll be fine. Not only does it indicate that to me too, but it also indicates to me as well. Another feeling that I get from this sentence is like, maybe this is a weird way to put it with like my Christian upbringing, but like it's God's will. Like there's something, I get a sense that like this statement is also saying that it's God's will at this time for things to start to come together in a more aligned way than when maybe they weren't before. So that's another thought here too. Not only are we feeling happier and more optimistic about things, and we need to have trust and have faith that it'll all come together, but that God, the divine spirit, universe, wants it to now and is helping us now in a way that maybe feels more useful than it did before. No, not that spirit didn't want us to have things come together before, just that we needed to learn things. We needed to learn things before, and now we're learning those here and now. The divine is going to help us, because it's really like our will with the divine will in the end that needs to come together, I think, in order for progress to be made. Okay, let's read on. It says, you become a vessel to demonstrate, to share the beauty, the love, and the light. Okay. A vessel to me indicates something more practical, starting to form more in the physical here. So I think that's another thought. It's just becoming more divine time for these things to feel more aligned, and it's starting to manifest or preparing, seeing how the next sentence goes, a little bit more in the physical. Okay, and we're becoming ready. Let's read on. It said, yet all of this is implicit, is inherent, it is inward, it is not seen by outer eyes. You are warming through slowly. There it is again, contemplatively, those qualities of soul that are best entered upon, free from reflection. So not only from this inside degree am I getting a lot of passion, a lot of excitement, feeling good, heart awakening here, having faith that it's going to keep getting better, because now is just a time that the universe, the divine, is ready for it to occur, but that it's starting to form more in a physical, tangible way, even if it still feels slow, and even if it still feels inward or not seen by outer eyes, it is starting to form here and will be shown 6 months from now, especially. Okay. Let's see, it says the inner life is rich beyond measure with seeds which will be fertilized and are given forth in the fullness of time, with a consummate touch of having been through the fire to attain what is true and lasting. What do I get from this? I get from this sentence that there's a lot of excitement internally about what's happening, right? But maybe some frustration that it doesn't feel quite as big externally, even though internally we know and are having clarity on a lot of things. So I get some of that. And not only do I get that from this sentence, but I also get about the reason, right? That maybe the reason why things are aligning now in a way they weren't before is so that we could distill what is truly important to us and who we truly are at our core, and what that is that's going on. Because the last sentence says a consummate touch of having been through the fire to attain what is true and lasting. And sometimes fire can sanitize or purify things. And so that's the view that I got, is the past few years since 2020, there's been this, this fire here metaphorically in our lives to kind of burn away anything that wasn't true, anything that wasn't lasting, anything that wasn't really a part of our soul or our values and our core, so that that's what could be left, and so that we could know that and understand that and work with the thing that's long lasting. Because when you're working with the things that are true and long lasting here and are a true part of your soul and your core and your mission, they're with you for much longer, right? And they don't break and fall apart and have to redo them later on or change your life to get rid of them and all of that. So I think that's what I get there. Good things, excitement, coming, trust it, starting to be the time. You can feel it. It may not be seen as much outwardly as you want, but it's happening. And it just took us some time. And the reason why it didn't happen yet is because it just took us some time to really understand what was true to the core of who we are, in our mission, and to distill that and to work from that place, which will be long lasting. Okay. Maybe another thought too, while I'm on that, is like something about the inner life. You know, there's something about the inner fire. So I think there's another thought here too, is like, good things are going to, right? I do feel them. Good things, more movement going to come, especially 6 months from now, faster. New moon, solar eclipse in Aries. Let yourself feel good, even though there are still some things to take care of here, so that, because I think that that good feeling is going to prepare the way for later on. So sorry, that's just another random thought there. Don't stop the good feelings that are happening at this eclipse, because that good feeling is what's going to make it easier for you to do things better later on. Okay, now I'm just going to go ahead and pull your card. So let's take a look at that. Your card here is the Three of Wands upright. And at the bottom of the deck, we have got the Ace of Swords upright. To me, the Ace of Swords is a lot about clarity here, before we get frustrated and antsy and muddle it all. But this is a lot about clarity. And I see the Three of Wands as like the future oriented here. So maybe what we're getting at this full moon lunar eclipse is not only more stability and security, but more clarity about our future and our next steps and where we want our life to go and what's going to happen then. Not only do I see the Three of Wands a card of clarity, but I also see it as a card of planning for the future. The future isn't here yet, maybe in the way we might like, but we're planning for it, because usually in this card, it's a person overlooking ships, waiting for the ships to come in, you know, that are on their way in. They're on their way in, you know, one's in the harbor, it just hasn't fully come in yet. So I see it, you know, as as a way of planning. Now, this full moon, we're getting clarity about a future and a better future and what we want it to look like and how we want it to look like. And it's best spent planning and working towards that step by step to ensure it's a smooth arrival. You know, and maybe that's another metaphor for how to see this full moon lunar eclipse. I gave you one of an airplane maneuvering to like the landing strip to take off, but maybe the boat coming in, the ship coming in, is another way to look at it. You know, it's like we're standing, you know, on the ledge of our life and what we've been doing, and we're looking out at our future, and we're seeing a ship come in, you know, that has everything we've needed, all the food and supplies and things like that. And we just have to believe that the ship is going to come in and prepare everything at home and in the land, so that when the ship arrives with what we need, we have places to put it. We have places to put all the food. We have the places for the boat to dock in the harbor, so that that's smooth, and you know, all of that stuff that's going on. So maybe that's another metaphor there. Okay. Okay, anything else? You know, threes, sometimes to me, this is a Three of Wands, sometimes are about working with things. It could be people, but could be working, you know, because three obviously is like more than one. You know, you've got like three things that you're trying to juggle here. So I'm also getting a sense of that clarity from the cards about your future and your next steps. And now for the next 6 months, because it's about how long eclipses have impact, is to prepare for that when it comes in, so that its arrival is smooth when it comes in next year or whatever, 6 months from now, and to get everything together and to kind of juggle or work with all your resources and things around you in order to make that happen. And I think that's all I'm going to say here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that was helpful. I wish you all the best at this eclipse, and I will talk to you on the next video.